Hey everybody, what's up? We are going to go through each faction and I'm going to point out what I think is the best non-void legendary in every faction. It's pretty self-explanatory. Let's go ahead and do it. In Bannerlords, to have as many legendaries as it does, it doesn't have a lot of great options. This is not really even much of a contest. I think it's Septimus, and Septimus is not mind-blowing by any stretch. You'd think with as many legendaries as this faction has, there would be some more interesting stuff going on, but it's Septimus. He straight up hits with his first skill. If he gets a kill, he gets another turn and resets Holy Sword cooldown. Holy Sword ignores shield and block damage, and it's enemy max HP damage. So it gives him utility everywhere. Arena, it can be nice. Dungeons, it can be nice. Clan boss, it can be nice. And then mixed with his passive, which extends debuffs, is also really useful for clan boss, and it can be nice in dungeons and stuff. So it's a pretty nice kit. And again, this whole first skill thing, extra turn, is pretty handy. So again, he's not mind-blowing. There are things he's good at, and he's very good at them. But I think it's pretty easy that Septimus is the best one in Bannerlords. I was using him on my unkillable clan boss team for a while until they changed Siphon. He's not part of my team anymore, but he had his place in certain areas in the game. So not a bad champ. Not a mind-blowing champ, but as for Bannerlords, he's about all they have to offer. So they did just buff Cythalia or whatever her name is. She's a little bit better now, but she's still not crazy. High Elves. I think, again, if there's a contest here, it's between Shiramani and Lysandra, but I think Lysandra has to take it. With her really high base speed, her all battle speed lead, and then her kit is just bonkers. 30% turn meter boost, 30% turn meter boost, 30% speed buff, and then decreases turn meter of enemies by 30%. If she's got enough accuracy, it's in essence a 60% turn meter increase. It is absolutely insane. Then her second skill, she's got a full turn meter reduction, and with her first skill, she gets rid of all debuffs and puts them on whoever she hits. It's a really great kit. She can be useful anywhere because her speed lead works anywhere, and speed leads are useful everywhere. Partnered with her turn meter boost and speed buff, she's just killer, man. She's the best turn meter booster in the game, and even if she's not doing a ton of other things and other fights, these two things alone make her useful anywhere. So Shiramani is also good, but I think Lysandra has to take it. I think there has to be something said for being the best attack bar booster in the game. So I think she edges Shiramani out. And the Sacred Order. Interesting stuff going on here. I am a big fan of Rashkard, but I don't think there's really any debate as far as non-void legendaries go that Martyr is top-notch. There's an argument for her being the best in the game. I mean, they buffed Valkyrie a while back, and that put her in the conversation with Martyr, but Martyr's up there. Martyr is a just killer champ. She's got a first turn defense break. She's got counterattack on all allies with a defense buff. She's got an AoE provoke and attack break in the same skill, and everything she does scales off defense. She's already got really high base defense with a defense lead. Everything she does makes sense. Everything she does has synergy. Everything she does has a theme, and there's nowhere you can't take her. She's really just good everywhere. She's so useful. She's so dead gum strong. And if you don't have her, you hate her guts. Anytime you have to fight her in arena, she's really aggravating. And I think kind of easily the best non-void legendary in Sacred Order. Arguably the best legendary period in Sacred Order. Arguably the best legendary in the game. So pretty killer champ. Now, Barbarians, again, not much of a conversation. It's Valkyrie. Among the best legendaries in the game, among the best champs in the game. Another example of a champ who just makes sense. First skill, double hit, turn meter knockback, scales on attack and defense, but you can ignore the attack. Defense is going to be plenty. Her second skill scales solely on defense. It's an AoE, shield buff on all allies, counterattack on all allies. Shield is based on damage inflicted with this attack and her defense. It's a crazy shield, really useful. She is a big problem in Arena, especially if she's on a good lifesteal set. I ran her on a taunting set for a while in Arena, and that was quite effective. It kind of mimics Martyr's Provoke, minus the attack break. And then her passive, turn meter increased each time an enemy champion places a buff. Enemy champions will have their turn meters decreased by 10% for each buff they receive. This is a really aggravating interruption to a team that relies on turn meter manipulation and buffs. A lot of champs that manipulate the team's turn meters also place buffs, whether it's speed or attack or whatever it may be. And generally when you're going into a fight, especially in Arena, you're using buffs. It's hard to go into Arena and not use buffs. So when you're going up against a Valkyrie, you're going to have an aggravating time because every time you place a buff, turn meters are going to get manipulated. She has interrupted the turn order of my cleave before. I've had my turn meter booster go, and then Skull Crown will go without getting to get buffed or whatever it may be, or I'll have a damage dealer go before my defense breaker. She's a really big problem in Arena, and she's good everywhere else. She's got the extra hit on her first skill, counterattack on the second skill. This makes her good in Fire Knight. She's really tanky, can hit really hard in dungeons, and she's got the faction crip lead. She's good all around. It would be great if the lead worked everywhere, but it's really not even necessary. She's already plenty good enough. Again, not much of a debate. She puts the other barbarians to shame. Now, over in Tribes, I had to think about this one a little bit, and I kind of went back and forth on Ignatius and Biggin, but I think Biggin is the one. He's got this skill hits really hard to be a first skill, and if he crits, he hits twice. It's a lot of damage. Second skill, we've got an AoE stun and an AoE decrease accuracy. Now the decrease accuracy isn't super crucial, but the stun is pretty nice, and you can get the debuff chance up a little bit with some skill ups. And then his third skill, attacks all enemies twice, decreases the turn meter by 25%, and can put a speed break on, and the accuracy in dungeons, whatever. But I think his kit just does a little bit more than Ignatius. Ignatius is also fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like Biggin is doing a little bit more with his kit than Ignatius. It's certainly open for debate. I'm sure some people will disagree and think that Ignatius is deserving of the spot, but I'm giving it to Biggin. I'm a bigger fan of Biggin. I think he edges out Ignatius just a little bit. Lizardmen. Lizardmen may have been my toughest faction to decide on. I think they did a pretty good job of balancing these three dudes. They're all really good, and they all do different things, but they do them all really well. This one was a tough one for me, and I'm still not even 100% confident in my answer. I go with Dracomorph because he's got an AoE defense break with a weaken that doesn't rely on a chance to proc. It only relies on your accuracy stat. So you stack enough accuracy on him, he's all but guaranteed to land it, minus an affinity disadvantage or something. That's a huge deal. Defense break and weaken in the same skill is pretty crazy, and to have it on an AoE scale is even crazier. Beyond that, his second skill, if it's one target, stacks 4 poisons on the target, and they're 3 turn poisons. And then his first skill is kind of cool. If he kills someone, he does surplus damage to a random enemy 3 times the amount of the surplus damage. So like if someone's got this much HP left and he hits them with a good crit and kills them, it's going to do basically triple that damage to another enemy. It's a pretty cool first skill, and beyond that he's got the accuracy. Again, accuracy lead, whatever, you're rarely going to use it. But these two skills, really this skill right here is what kind of edges him out as far as widespread utility. But again, it's tough because Fushan has a great kit. He's got a speed lead you can take anywhere. He's got an AoE stun, but the chance is kind of low. And then here we've got defense break, but it's random, so it's not really an AoE defense break. You're kind of at the mercy of where your RNG places the attacks. So, and then Rosin is also great. He's got single target defense break and weaken, and an AoE turn meter reset, first turn strip. They're all great kits. I just think Draco edges him out a little bit. I almost called him Edgeomorph. Draco, I just feel like I can take more places than the other guys and get more out of him. So I think Draco is a little bit more in-game friendly as well. You know, he's part of a lot of in-game clan boss, in-game spiders, in-game dungeons. So I feel like Draco is probably the best champ, best non-void legendary in Lizardmen. But the other two are not bad by any stretch. Skinwalkers was another one I really struggled with, actually. I struggled with this one. Because I don't want to say that they're not all bad. But there's not a ton going on. We have the ones that are good. And then the ones that are not so great. Now, I'm putting my vote in Hackhorn. Although I think Brackus is really good too. Longbeard is nice too, don't get me wrong. But I think Hackhorn edges him out. And I think he edges him out because of this. We have a full team, full cleanse, heal, extra heals for debuffs that are removed, and then places block debuffs on the whole team. That's a whole lot in one skill on a 4-turn cooldown. I'm not a fan of this. It can be great, but he can also kill himself doing it. I think that's kind of dumb. I feel like they could take that mechanic away. Like maybe he could maybe take away the fact that he can kill himself and make him add an unkillable buff to himself for that turn or something. I don't know. I feel like something could be tweaked here. And then first turn stun. HP in dungeons 33%. I just think this skill right here is crazy. We don't have a ton of this at our disposal. They've added a few over the last couple of months, but full team cleanse with a heal, with a block debuffs is really, really nice. And I think it kind of edges him out over the others. Again, as far as his whole kit goes, it could be updated, it could be changed. But if I was going to pick a legendary to have from this faction, I think it would probably be Brackus, even though I think it would be Hackhorn, even though I think Brackus looks the coolest. Longbeard is dope too, don't get me wrong. But he's really only dope because of this, and if we're weighing the effectiveness of this versus Hackhorn's one skill that's really his claim to fame, I think this one's better. So that's my vote. That one again is probably open for some discussion, but now Orcs. I'm gonna go with Robar here. Again, none of the non-void Orcs are amazing, but I think if I have to pick one, it's gonna be him. We've got a first turn stunned, and he gets an extra turn if he lands the stun. We've got an AoE defense break here that skilled up can be on 3-turn cooldown, and a 100% chance to land, barring your accuracy stat, of course. And you know that AoE defense break is a crucial thing. It's very important everywhere. Dungeons, arena, everywhere you go that's going to have an enemy. Defense break is important, and AoE defense break is that much more important. So very crucial. And then third skill, attacks all enemies, damage increases if the target's under sleep, whatever. Now, I imagine that it's probably got a pretty good multiplier. He's got high base attack. He's got the accuracy, whatever. But it's really the AoE defense break that really does it for me here. And the fact that the other two don't really have a ton going on. They're usable, but it's not really much of a competition because he's got the AoE defense break and a little bit more utility elsewhere. Base speed is pretty nasty. They should do something about that base speed. But I think Robar's the best orc. Non-void. I'm going to clarify that a few more times. Demonspawn. Lots of fun stuff going on here. I like a lot of different champs in here. However, it's got to be Kymar. If you've looked at Kymar's kit, you know he's a monster. We've got 30% arena speed lead. First skill AoE poison, 5% poison. Second skill, this is crazy. AoE, all buff strip, then places asleep in the same deadgum skill, and it's only reliant on accuracy. No chance to proc. All you have to do is have your accuracy high, stack it really high. He's basically guaranteed to strip buffs and guaranteed to place to sleep. Now, if it was a stun, it might just be too strong. Especially because skilled up, you can get this down to 3 turns. But that is bonkers in and of itself. And then we've got the third skill, resets all cooldown skills of all allies and fills the turn meter of all allies except himself by 20%. That's really crazy. You can do some really crazy things with this. It's just an all-around ridiculous kit. Obviously, he's really good for arena, but you can take him anywhere because of this third skill. That's pretty useful everywhere. It helps you cycle cooldowns faster. It's on a bit of a long cooldown, but to be honest, it should be. It's a pretty strong skill. And yeah, even though there are other really good Demonspawn legendaries, I don't think it's much of a competition. I think Kymar pretty much clean sweeps that. Undead Hordes. Another example of a faction where there's some pretty strong legendaries. Lots of good candidates, but I think Bad L takes the cake here. We've got a good crit rate lead. We've got a first skill AoE. Heals himself and the team by 20% of the damage he inflicts. He doesn't even have to hit really hard for that to be a pretty good heal because he's hitting AoE. Second skill, you can get it down to a 3-turn cooldown. AoE full team cleanse, 2 15% continuous heals on the whole team, and 2 5% poison debuffs on all enemies. Nutty. Just nutty on a 3-turn cooldown. And then all allies inflict 15% more damage against targets under poison debuffs. So he's pretty much going to keep poisons up, and then the whole team does more damage against targets under poison debuffs. Crazy kit, really good base stats. Take him anywhere in the game, literally anywhere in the game, and he's useful. Excellent champ, among the best champs in the game, I would say. Just absolutely crazy. Now, if I think there's a decision I'm going to make in this video that's going to spark some debate, it's going to be in Dark Elves. I think the best legendary in this faction is Rey. I've got a feeling I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this in favor of Zavia. But I think it's Rey. She's got the best speed lead in the game for dungeons. Everything she does is AoE, and everything she does is effective. She's got a first turn AoE defense break, 60%. She's got an AoE second skill that does 50% more damage to targets under debuffs. 50% more damage is a lot of damage on someone with that probably has really good multipliers and decent enough base attack. You can scale her stats up pretty well. This could be really nasty. And even though she's got the first turn defense break, you're usually not going to have her going first. By the time she goes, there's probably going to be debuffs on everybody. So this is going to hit pretty hard. Then her third skill. Remember what I was saying about Kymar's skill? If it was a stun, it would be too powerful. Here's that skill, and they figured out a way to make it not insanely powerful, but it's still kind of ridiculous. It's an AoE, all buff strip, 50% chance to freeze. Skilled up, it gets down to, it gets up to a 70% chance to freeze, and it's a 6-turn cooldown. Should be on a little bit of a high cooldown because it's a crazy skill, but you got to think, it's a third skill on a legendary. It's going to have good multipliers, so it's going to do good damage. She's stripping all buffs from the enemy, so any defense buffs or whatever, she's going to get rid of them. And that's not reliant on a chance to proc, that's just on accuracy. And then a 50% chance to freeze, 70% chance skilled up. That's ridiculous. That is a really, really good skill. She can be a good arena nuker. She's great in dungeons, obviously. And just a really, really killer champ. Probably really useful in faction wars. I haven't paid much attention to faction wars, but I got a feeling that's going to be pretty handy in faction wars. Kind of just all around, maybe everywhere except Fire Knight, and maybe even Fire Knight because of the speed lead. You know what I mean? You just work around her with a lot of multi-hits. Might be beneficial, so I think she's the best Dark Elf. Again, I think if there's one that's going to spark some debate, it's going to be that one, but Can't help it. That's what I think. Knight's Revenant. Not much of a contest here. Tomb Lord takes it. We got a decreased speed. If he crits on the first skill, it's a 3-hitter. Gives him a lot of Fire Knight utility. We've got a 70% chance to place 2 5% poison debuffs on all. He attacks one enemy, but then can place poisons on all enemies. If he crits, he places 4 of them on all enemies for 1 turn. So he's got a chance of placing 2 poisons on all enemies regardless. If he crits, it turns into a chance to place 4 5% poison debuffs. That's a lot of poisons on an AoE scale. Then his last skill, AoE turn meter reduction for anybody that's got less than 50% HP, and then an 80% chance of doing decreased attack and decreased defense, and gets an extra turn if he resets a turn meter. A lot going on in that skill, not bad, and he's a pretty good champ. I've seen him do some cool stuff in Spider. Of course, he's useful in Fire Knight. He's got the defense lead in Arena. I've seen him do some cool stuff in Arena too, but you know, he's not like the best in the game or anything, but it's not much of a contest in Knight's Rev because there's not a lot going on here yet. And then last but not least, we've got Dwarves. I think they did a pretty good job of making all the Dwarves good. They're very different, which I like, but they're all good. But I think Molly takes the cake here, which is interesting that they made her the fusion, considering how good she is. But she scales on defense, which is nice. She's got really good base defense. And she does 50% more damage to anyone under HP burn. This skill, she's got, it's AoE Provoke. It has a 50% chance of AoE provoking for 2 turns, and she places Reflect damage on herself. That's a killer skill, man. If you can AoE Provoke for 2 turns, that's crazy. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Third skill, revives an ally with 50% HP, and fills their turn meter by 50%. Places a block damage buff on that ally for 1 turn. This has been a thorn in my side in Arena. This is a really aggravating skill. There's some really good mollies in the higher levels of Arena, and boy, it's aggravating. Really aggravating. And this can get down to a 4-turn cooldown. That's pretty good. Not to mention her passive that has a cooldown, although you can get rid of it with the skill up. Fills a turn meter of all allies by 15% when this champion is hit. Turn meter of all allies by 25% when this champion's hit by a boss. So she's got utility anywhere you want to take her, really. You know, she's good in a few of the dungeons. She's phenomenal in Arena. Gonna be good in Faction Wars, I would imagine. Pretty widespread utility and a really, really effective kit. So I think she edges out the other 2 dwarves, but they are good for sure. So that's it. That's my list. That's who I think is the best legendary in each faction, and my thoughts on why. So I'm gonna open up the floor to you guys now. I'm interested to hear the discussion. I'm interested to hear where you think I'm wrong and why. And let's go ahead and get the argument started on the Dark Elves, because I know that's coming. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you got a kick out of it, and I'll see you next time.